Advisory Board. We have 8 members currently. That's Alan Edwards at the SGC, Ched or Charles Grimshaw from Takeda, Marty Head at GSK, David Mobley from UC Irvine, John Molt from the University of Maryland, Adrian Reutberg from the University of Florida, Torsten Schved from Biocentrum, and Martin Stahl from Roche. So our main role and vision as a resource, our main goal is really to broker the exchange of unpublished data sets from mainly industrial sources. And so in terms of data sets, we're really after...
There's a question as to whether people are hearing you. Why don't you ask if people can hear?
Okay, folks, just to make sure, can people hear me? We have a question saying that people cannot hear me.
Yes, we can.
Okay, you can. Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, folks. Okay. Right. So we're mainly interested in the exchange of high-quality protein ligand data sets so that we can test docking and scoring methods. And so we try to work very closely with various industrial collaborators to sort of free this great source of structure and affinity data from the sort of walls of mostly industrial sites. But again, we also are happy to work with academics. And then once we ingest that data, we typically end up crafting, doing a little bit of curation and crafting blinded community challenges. And as you'll hear about more today, we can do this in various ways. Typically, we engage sort of a staged approach where we first will do sort of more post prediction challenge, and then we'll move on to a scoring challenge after we've sort of released perhaps some information about the previously blinded structures. Along the way, we, of course, our main goal is that we hope that we can help drive the improvement of better methods for docking and scoring. This includes the development, ultimately, hopefully, of automated workflows so that we can take some of the human interaction or some of the more artistic elements of the methods, actually turn those into sort of more codified strategies. We also, of course, hope to disseminate and share this information and therefore impact workforce training and education of folks in the sector. And then all the information ultimately is not only available on our site, on our website, but also becomes released to the various public databases like the Protein Data Bank, Chembl, etc. So along the way, another activity in addition to what we call the grand challenges, which you'll hear a lot about today, we also have something called KELP. We've developed something called KELP in collaboration with the RCSB PDB. So KELP stands for the Continuous Evaluation of Ligand Pose Prediction. And here what we realized was, in working with Stephen Burley, we realized that we had the opportunity to utilize unreleased crystal structures that come in on a weekly basis to the PDB in order to have weekly blinded challenges for smaller sets of structures. And so we basically give contestants 63 hours to predict next week's additions to the PDB. So our program scans the PDB pre-release sequences for entries, and we're looking for structures that are bound to a drug-like molecule that have 95% or greater homology to an existing PDB structure, and consists of one sequence. And so for each eligible target sequence, we select up to 5 candidate PDB structures for contestants to perform cross-docking. This is an initiative if you're interested to hear more about. I have you can get more information about it at our website, and also Mike Gilson will give an overview, or a little bit, he'll talk more about updates to KELP later in the agenda. Of course, if you're interested to find out more about our activities, you can go to our website, which we strive very much to keep updated with our various activities. You can also follow us on Twitter at Drug Design Data. And I'm not going to go through all of the website, of course, I'll let you guys hunt around in there, but we wanted to call out some new features that we've added since our last, the last time that we've had sort of a public discussion of the activities. We've added a publications page where you can find our overview papers, the CSAR overview papers, and special issue journals. We've also added a presentations and meeting section to the website, so you can sort of keep track of where we are, where we're going to be. This is where all of you have found, hopefully, our Grand Challenge 2 webinar agenda. You can find links to that. As we give presentations, we also update our PowerPoint decks. We provide those on this site, as well as posters and talks. We've added a what we have learned page, and this is really because, as I mentioned, and as will be stressed again today throughout the proceedings, is that our central goal is really to drive the development of methods in docking and scoring and computer-aided drug discovery. So here on this page, we're sort of keeping a running tally of things that we have learned through the activities of the resource. And so this page, as we go through each of the challenges, continues to be updated. We've also added, we're now providing free for the community our assessment scripts up on GitHub. So anybody who wants to see how we're performing the assessment of the challenges, you can now grab those scripts and use them if you like, and give us feedback also. So today, our webinar goals and agenda. So our goals are basically that we want to present the overview and results for the 2016 Protein Ligand Challenge. So this was a smaller set of structured data that we got from Barry Stoddard and David Baker. We're going to review those results. We're also going to present an overview and results of Grand Challenge 2. And we will discuss also, Stephen Burley has a segment where he's going to discuss X-ray refinement challenges, and we're going to give you all a general update on the activities of the resource. So the agenda is shown here. My session is going to close up in about 4 minutes. Then we'll move into the Protein Ligand 2016 challenge, and then we have a larger segment dedicated to the Grand Challenge 2 overview and results with 2 breaks. One at 9:50 Pacific time for 20 minutes, and then a longer break where people can grab something, at least on the West Coast, people are still eating lunch, around 12:30 or 12:25 Pacific time. And then we'll be closing up at right around 2 p.m. Pacific time. So sort of our rules of engagement, because we are distributed all over the globe this morning or today, we're going to follow the schedule timing very closely. All of our speakers have been informed that they will be held very tightly to the schedule of events. We are recording this webinar, and we plan to make the webinar available on our website after we have a chance to process it. Just so everybody knows, all of the speaking slots will be straight through speaking, no questions. We will have a moderated Q&A, question and answer session that's taking place from 11:55 a.m. to 12:25 p.m. Pacific time only. So what we are suggesting is that as the webinar proceeds, that you send your written questions to the D3R team through the question box in the GoToWebinar control panel. If you're a panelist, that question box will be called a chat box. But go ahead and type your question in there. Your question format should include the name of the speaker to whom you're asking the question, so that we have a sense for who to address it to, as well as the question. And so at the end of, as we sort of move along throughout the agenda, we're going to be collecting those questions and reading them to the group during the Q&A session. And that is all that I have for the opening segment.